The contemporary notion of game design is centered around highly engaging player experiences where players are immersed in prolonging play sessions, living through exciting and unforgettable moments. With this, it is unsurprising that game design and research are mostly focusing on facilitating, for instance, motivation, flow, or excitement. All this with the general idea of trying to keep players in. This is, for example, supported through easy onboarding, game balancing, or our general understanding of play experience itself as the fulfillment of fundamental needs. Consequently, games that are boring or yield negative emotions, such as anger or frustration, are often understood as poorly designed. But in reality, the nature of play is diverse and complex. For instance, players might play during commute, or they play with limited attention due to other tasks. They might play even if they're bored, or play just to relax, not seek for exuberant experiences. These examples show that how players approach engagement might differ drastically. O'Brien and Thoms proposed the concept of user engagement, which aims to capture the holistic view on how people interact with technology. In this model, user engagement is a quality of user experience that is characterized by the depth of one's investment in the interaction. On this basis, the model conceptualizes engagement in 4 stages. The point of engagement is where the first contact with the interactive system happens. The period of sustained engagement is the actual time users spend using the technology. Disengagement describes the termination point of an engaging period, essentially the end of a session, and re-engagement refers to when users return to the interactive system at their own volition. This view on user experiences as an engagement cycle explicitly depicts disengagement as a natural part of long-term interaction in the user's daily life, where engagement is not continuous but fluctuating. However, the model is less specific about the experience of disengagement itself. Looking at how game design approaches disengagement, there are, for example, recommendations on narrative and level structures that build around phases of tension and release, allowing players to recover and to reflect on intense experiences. On the other hand, gaming is often addressed through the lens of problematic play, where games are considered as inherently addictive and playtime to be regulated. In response, research and industry develop tools and strategies to facilitate disengagement. Such methods mostly revolve around time restrictions, either on an individual or societal level. However, time-based approaches to disengagement do not account for player experience. Here, our work sees a missed opportunity for game design to support disengagement constructively as a natural part of play, rather than problematizing it. We address this gap in HCI games research through an initial exploration of how players experience and structure disengagement from games they regularly play. Our work seeks to understand player experiences at the end of play sessions and how game design can account for disengagement, treating it as a regular part of play with the potential of contributing to player experiences positively. To guide our research, we formulated the following 2 research questions. How do players experience disengagement from play sessions, and what is considered positive player experience? And the second question, how do players structure the process of disengagement from a play session, and which characteristics of games help or hinder this process? For our methods, we took a 2-step approach. We first started with initial qualitative interviews and followed up with a larger online survey that built upon the findings. In this presentation, I briefly describe some of the key findings from both studies. For more details, I refer to the paper. In our initial interviews, we asked players to describe how they end play sessions and about their experiences with disengagement. We were also interested in the role of game design within this process, and finally we asked the participants to suggest ideas for positive exits of play. The key findings of the interviews are summarized in 3 themes. Positive disengagement experiences come with satisfaction and closure, while negative ones with rage and regret. Disengagement is a complex process involving players, games, and the environment. And finally, player agency is a central element for positive disengagement. Building upon the 3 themes, we conducted an online survey where participants rated their degree of agreement on statements about disengagement and could leave open-ended comments to further explain their responses. The questions about disengagement fall into the 3 categories of the process, the experience, and game elements. Concerning disengagement experiences, we asked participants how strongly they associate closure and satisfaction with positive disengagement, and if upset and boredom come along with negative disengagement. For positive, ratings suggest a strong role of satisfaction, while closure is less pronounced. On the other side, negative emotions were strongly associated with bad endings, while the opinion on boredom were rather spread.
After good games, it feels good to end a session.
Especially after achieving the predefined goal of the session.
Regarding negative disengagement experiences, participants mentioned frustration, for example.
Yes, if I know I wasted some time, or need to redo some part of the game.
Interestingly, many comments were neutral about disengagement.
I can feel frustrated and be okay with leaving the game. I think it makes me look forward for the next time, for example, failing at defeating a boss. Yes, but not always. This does occur, but equally, it might be because I've ran out of time to play. I may not want to stop, but life calls. This isn't angry or upset, but more a reluctance to want to stop, more like disappointment.
Also, some players appreciated boredom as part of the gameplay experience.
Leaving the game because I'm bored is a perfectly appropriate reason to leave the game. I sometimes play until I'm bored, and then I stop. It becomes a natural stopping place.
Regarding the process of disengagement, the survey asked about the importance of clear in-game goals, whether the players adjust their playtime, about their considerations on re-engaging with the next session, and if it is relevant for them to be in control of disengagement. Likewise, in the category of game characteristics affecting disengagement, participants gave their rating on low-tension phases in gameplay, transparency of game structures, progress loss, the game's ability to allow players to leave, and social play. Summarizing our results, in response to the first research question, we identified satisfaction and closure as mostly rewarding. Peaks and drops in tension enable players to disengage, while gameplay that aligns with structural endpoints in play and transparent game structures help players to anticipate their endings. Also, how players progress and their performance contribute to satisfying exits. The reasons for negative disengagement experiences are related to the discrimination of players' agency, unsettling performance, or bugs and errors. In addition, our data revealed a neutral type of disengagement, which may come along with boredom, but without frustration, or when players just no longer need to engage. Concerning the second research question on the process of disengagement, our data shows some players approach disengagement strategically. Instead of a state, disengagement is a process which comes along with pre-play planning, ongoing in-game adjustments of the disengagement goals, and post-play reflections with plans for re-engagement. In addition, external factors affecting disengagement are when players are tired, through social pressures and expectations of co-players, or other life commitments. In conclusion, to address disengagement constructively and to support positive experiences of play session exits across diverse contexts, we provide 3 reflection points for game design. First, valuing the importance of temporary disengagement and understanding its impact on play experience is an opportunity for game design in supporting players to make informed decisions about their playtime and self-determined play. For example, this can be achieved through clear goals and transparent game structures. Secondly, games need to account for player affect and provide exit processes that can be navigated by physically and/or mentally exhausted players. For example, methods such as dynamic difficulty adjustment may account for player fatigue towards the end of a session and help them to disengage with less effort. And thirdly, game design should prioritize player agency by creating games that neither trap players within them nor push them out. This can be achieved through game design that allows players to leave, for example by not artificially limiting saving options, clearly presenting how to exit, and being transparent about possible progress loss.